Welcome to Loving Me Before I Love You with Tammy Nicole, the podcast dedicated to you loving and putting yourself first. Others have come first in your life for years, and you know it's time for that to change. You're about to be empowered to set healthy boundaries, confidently have hard conversations, unapologetically put yourself first, and live the peaceful life you deserve. Remember, self-love is essential, and loving yourself sets the stage for every other love in your life. So get ready to embrace self-love like never before with your host, Coach Tammy Nicole.
Hey, it is Transformation Tuesday over at Loving Me Before I Love You. And we will do nothing different than we have ever done before. Today is the last Tuesday of the month of October, which means it is our last Tuesday to either talk about breast cancer awareness or talk about domestic violence. And today we're actually going to talk about domestic violence, but from a different lens. It is not always easy to talk about this subject, okay? But before we dive in, I want to make something really clear. This episode is not about excusing any kind of harm or glorifying any pain. It is about understanding what true accountability looks like, what redemption really means, and how we as women can find healing, even when the people who hurt us may never say sorry. So today's topic is called From Harm to Healing, a changed abuser's journey of accountability and redemption. And I know that the title alone may make you think you need to pause for a second, because most of the time when we hear the word abuser, our minds go straight to pain, control, manipulation, and even trauma. And rightfully so. But I want us to look at this through a different lens, because healing doesn't just happen for the person who caused the harm. It happens for the person who also harmed us. So sometimes when you see someone truly change, it reminds you that healing, real deep transformative healing, is possible for anyone, including you. Now, I want to talk to the woman listening who's still carrying the weight of what someone did to her. What you might be is being in a place where you've already moved on physically, but emotionally, their words, their actions, the trauma, it still lingers. And I get it. Because when someone hurts you deeply, especially someone you trusted, it doesn't just bruise your heart, it rearranges your sense of self. You start questioning your worth, your choices, even your discernment. But here's what I've learned. Accountability and redemption are not just their work. It's yours too. It's the part of your healing where you say, I can't change what they did, but I can take my power back by changing how I carry it. Let's talk about what accountability really means, because the word gets thrown around a lot. Accountability is not just saying, I'm sorry. It's not the text message that comes at midnight saying, I've changed. It's not the, I found God, now you should forgive me kind of apology. Accountability is actually ownership. It's looking at what you've done without excuses, without deflection, without defenses, and saying, that was me. I did cause that pain. And I'm doing the work to make sure I never do it again. And listen, that kind of accountability is rare, but when it happens, it's powerful. Because it's not performance, it's not public, it's personal. It's in how that person carries themselves moving forward, how they speak, how they show up, how they repair what they broke, even if they can't rebuild what they lost. Now, here's where the self-love part comes in. Because I'm always going to bring it back to that, right? Self-love is essential, and it is the foundation of everything that we do. Part of loving yourself is holding yourself accountable too, not for what they did. That's their burden, not yours. But for how long you've allowed what they did define how you love you, how you trust you, how you see yourself. Says sometimes we stay stuck not because they haven't changed, but because we haven't released what they did. And I know that's hard to hear, but stay with me. Because releasing it doesn't mean you excuse it. It means you refuse to carry it in another season. So as we transition from season to season, sometimes we have to just let things go. You deserve peace more than you deserve to keep proving you were right. I want you to take a second and really think about it. What are you still holding on to that doesn't belong to you anymore? Is it the shame from a toxic relationship? Is it the anger from someone who's never took accountability? Is it the guilt from something you did years ago that you've already outgrown, but you keep punishing yourself for it? Whatever it is, it's time to sit down and let it go. Because healing doesn't mean you forget what happened. It means you stop letting.
Hey, hope you're feeling the love in today's episode. We'll pick back up where we left off in a moment. First, we're excited to share that Tammy has a collection of self-love t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, and journals for you to express how much you love yourself to the world. From comfy hoodies to motivational mugs, there's something for everyone. While you're listening to today's show, feel free to browse the full collection at IamTammyNicole.com. Thank you, and without further ado, let's get back into today's show.
It narrate who you are. Now, let me be honest. Yes, people can change, but not everyone will. Some people don't want to face themselves. They just want access to you again. And that's where your discernment and boundaries come in. But for the few who do change, it reminds us that redemption is real. It reminds us that God can take something broken and use it as proof that grace still works. And I want you to hear me. Grace does not excuse harm. It exposes truth. It says, I see who I was, and I'm doing the work to become who I was meant to be. That applies to them, but it also applies to you. Because sometimes we've been both the broken and the breaker. We've been the hurt and the hurter. We've stayed too long in things that damage us, and we've damaged things that were meant to love us. And I think there's power in admitting that. Because self-love is not just affirmations and bubble baths. It's self-awareness. It's saying, I see my patterns. I see where I've gone wrong. And I'm not living like that anymore. And that's redemption too. So here's where the healing really starts. Healing starts when you start shifting from blame to understanding. When you shift from anger to accountability, and when you shift from pain to purpose. Because when you heal, you start to realize their story doesn't have to end in your suffering. I'm going to say that again. When you start to heal, you start to realize that their story doesn't have to end in your suffering. You can let them face their journey while you focus on yours. Their redemption is not your responsibility. Your peace is. It is your job. It is your responsibility to ensure that your peace returns back to you. So in order to do that, sometimes you have to go down the road of forgiveness. So let's talk about it. Because I know somebody listening is saying, Coach Tammy, I hear you, but how do I forgive someone who never said sorry? Here's the truth. Forgiveness is not about them deserving to receive it. It's about you deserving the freedom. See, when you're forgiving other people, It is not giving them the opportunity to get off the hook for what they did. It really releases you from the responsibility of carrying it around and dealing with it internally every day. So again, when you forgive, you're not saying what you did was okay. You are saying you no longer have the power over how I feel about me anymore. Forgiveness is releasing your emotional real estate from people who stopped paying rent a long time ago. It's the act of saying, I may never get closure from you, but I can still close that chapter for myself. A lot of times, closure is simply in the moving on. A lot of times, people are looking for closure in a way that says, I'm going to validate the feeling that you're experiencing and say, yep, I did that. And yep, I'm sorry. And yep, I didn't love you to begin with. When you are focused on yourself, that closure comes by your decision. It's your decision to accept the things that have happened and move on. It's the act of saying, hey, you can't control me. I'm going to be able to control myself. I am going to be the one in charge. And once you start forgiving, you make room for peace. You make room for love again, and you make room for growth. Because healing and accountability go hand in hand. You can't truly love yourself while holding on to bitterness. And you can't truly heal if you refuse to look at what needs to change, both in you and around you. So maybe this episode isn't just about a changed abuser. Maybe it's about a changed you. Maybe the redemption story isn't theirs. It's yours. Because look at you now. You have survived what was meant to silence you. You've grown through what tried to destroy you. You're learning to hold your head high again, to speak your truth, to protect your peace, to love yourself loudly without any apology. That's what healing looks like. That's what redemption feels like. And that's what accountability produces. So I want you to take this message with you today. Healing is not about waiting for them to change. It's about deciding that you will. You can't go back and fix the harm, but you can build something beautiful from the healing. You can't rewrite their story, but you can reclaim your own. And when you do, you'll realize that forgiveness wasn't the end. It was actually the beginning of your freedom. You forgiving yourself is the ultimate level of forgiveness. I know we have been talking about forgiving them for what they did, for the pain they caused, but the hardest part is forgiving you. You may have to forgive yourself for being in the place or in the space. You may have to forgive yourself for engaging with that individual. You may have to forgive yourself for not seeing the red flags and moving in a different direction. But do not blame yourself for the things that they did to you. Those things were under their control. They were their behaviors. They were their decisions. But you will have to forgive you for the part that you have determined that you played. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode spoke to your heart, share it with another woman who might need to remind themselves that healing is still possible. Remember, grace doesn't excuse, it restores. And accountability isn't punishment, it's peace. Redemption, that's just love wearing truth. I am Coach Tammy Nicole. I am your self-love empowerment coach. I want you to know that no matter what happened, it's always the right time to love you. Remember, if you need assistance, if you want to learn more about loving yourself, if you want to break open the inside of you that needs to grow, that needs to heal, that needs to actually see themselves, You can always reach me at coaching@IamTammyNicole.com. If you're looking for books that will assist you, go to Amazon and search my name. You'll find plenty there. But always remember to love yourself so much that the love from others is a bonus. Though this episode may have been tough to listen to and tough to see yourself in, if you felt anything that said, hey, it's your time to change. It is your time to heal. And the closure starts with you. This is your encouragement to do it. You have it within you, and you can, and you will get up and start again. Again, thanks for listening. This is Loving Me Before I Love You. And as we do every Tuesday, it is transformation. Transform the things within you so that you can become the better you. Have a good day.
That's a wrap on another episode of Loving Me Before I Love You. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a second to show your support by subscribing and leaving a positive rating and review on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Stay connected with Tammy. Make sure you're following her on Instagram and TikTok at Coach Tammy Nicole. If you like to work with Tammy or have any questions you'd like her to answer, please head over to www.IamTammyNicole.com. Until next time, always remember to love yourself so much that the love from others is a bonus.